Howdy folks, and welcome back out to the claim. As you recall in my previous video, I got some really nice chunky gold. Well, I'm going to show you where that material came from. So let's go over here and take a look at it. So this is it right here. All this red zone that you see behind me is all the material that I dug up previously. Got about 3/4 of a yard and ran it through the wash plant. And you can see the red patches through here. Now this is a wash that has been previously worked, especially behind the camera, down that way, okay? And it's been worked for at least a couple hundred yards. Well, the mining operation stopped right here, and this is what they left. Well, this is what I dug into, and this is where I'm finding the gold. So let's come in here and get a closer look at this. As I'm panning around here, you can kind of see all the reddish material mixed in with all the rocks. It's got a lot of nice looking gravel here all the way across. Looks pretty good. There's the shovel and the pick right there. And so this area here is at least about 15 feet, 20 feet across. And then I've been exploring further up the channel, up where the other plants are above, and it goes up for at least about 50 yards with this reddish dirt. So now let's come on down here and take a look at this a little closer. You know, down here I'm actually on bedrock, so you can see the bedrock right down here. And this is kind of like a caliche, actually. It's not really true bedrock. And you can see that the bedrock is actually fractured and altered because you've just right off the tip of the shovel here, you can see where this material here has been you know, broken up and everything. So this is probably where a lot of the gold is probably hiding in here. So we may pan some samples of that and see what that looks like. Now let's come on over here and let's just kind of look at the type of rocks that we actually have, what we call float, that's actually on here. So right off the bat, I'm seeing right here, here's a chunk of lodestone. Okay, this is just iron rock, okay? And it's just, you know, it's heavy and big, huge wad of it. And there's a lot of this iron chunk around here. That's a really great indication. Now, of course, we also have some quartz too. I mean, there's a nice little piece of quartz. It's pretty dirty looking, but so that's also a good indication. And then also, we also have our metamorphic rocks. Okay, we have the, this one here is a piece of gneiss, and you can see, yeah, it is nice looking. But yeah, this is a metamorphic rock called gneiss, all right? And then we also have another metamorphic rock that's coming out here called schist. Now, it's not what you think it is. It's schist, not the other word, okay? But you can kind of see if I can get the camera on it just right. We can see if we can kind of get it to get a little sparkly here. Sometimes when you tip it just right, you get to see the little sparkles in it because of the mica. So this is the other common rock. Now, also we have a whole host of others like quartz monzonite and things. And then we also have your typical clay. And this is where the gold is really trapped in, is in these clay clots right here. And if I break it up here, you can see how it breaks up, but it's really hard stuff. Now, this is the stuff that usually contains the gold, and this is where the shaker deck and the wash plant comes in handy to actually spray and break up and bust up this type of material. Because this, during the summer months when it's dry like this, it's rock hard. But then, you know, in the wintertime, when you get a little moisture on it, it's nice and soft and breaks up real easy. So this is the kind of common material that we find out here on the claim, and this is kind of really excess. As well as I pan down here, you can really see the reddish tones in the dirt here. In fact, here's some more over here on this side. You can see kind of that reddish tone. Pretty amazing stuff. Now, as we kind of walk up from this little gold pit, we'll go ahead and come up here, and you can still see the red dirt showing up all along here. Across this open section. Yeah, you can see my tire marks from my truck. But I'm going to walk all the way up over here. We're going to keep heading up the hill here, and you can still see redness throughout here. I mean, this whole area is just full of effect. Here is a burrow down here with you know, animal diggings, and you can see the reddish tone in the material right through here. And we still have a whole host of the same kind of rocks. We got the schist and the gneiss and everything down here. So we'll go ahead and just kind of walk along over here. Here's somebody's tailings pile, somebody's header pile, and yeah, you can see the mix of the type of rocks that are in this area. And then also we have the trumpet plants. Remember in past videos talking about the trumpet plants. They love mineralized ground. So whenever you see these guys, that means that there's possibility of gold. Not 100%, but when they're around, that means gold might be around. So we'll just kind of walk up through here a little bit. We'll come up here to these yucca plants. And again, you can kind of see the reddish tone in the ground there too. And we got this little, another burrow down here in the weeds. You can kind of see the red in there. So that shows you that there's still quite a potential for material for quite a ways here. I'm just guessing, I mean, there's a lot of probably overburden out here, but I would suspect that it's got to be at least, 50 yards long or more. And you can see little spots and outcrops and stuff. Here's where I kind of scratched right here. Didn't really see many change, but who knows what's down below about a foot or so. So anyway, this just goes to show you what the potential is, what we have out here. Well, as you can see, we've got a new perch for the wash plant here. We've got the new setup. There's the truck in the background and plus my water tank. What's nice about this setup is that I got a little bit of a slope down here, so you can see right here. So that way I don't have to, move out the material on those rails like I was doing at the other site. So now it can just drop straight on down and we can just rake it out. Yeah, that saves a lot of time. So anyhow, we got our ponds all filled up. We'll just kind of walk around the plant here a little bit. There's the dewatering shaker deck underneath there. And up here is the upper shaker deck. And you can see it's pretty windy out here. The little splash screen is really flailing around here. All right, we'll just kind of walk around here, just kind of get a little bit of a tour. And we'll come up here. This is the control box that has all the levers in here to, turn everything on and off and whatnot. Okay, and then there's the upper shaker deck. And there it is. You can see all the little studs that are down here. That's to help break up the rock as everything is vibrating. It does a pretty good job. This is the spray bar up here. Okay, and then underneath here, we'll just take a peek. This is the vibrator. It turns at 3,600 RPM, so it vibrates pretty well. Okay, and that shakes the whole deck. And then underneath there is the sluice. Now, this is where the gold collects. These are the riffles in which the gold gets trapped on. So the water flows from up on top, comes all the way down here. And this is called a double V stacked riffle system developed by Sean Dilley. And in California, we also call this the pickle puss. Does a really super excellent job of recovering fine gold, and as well as other pieces. And then we finally come down here to the bottom, which is the dewatering shaker deck. And you can see down here, we got our two vibrating motors there sitting at 45 degrees. That helps cause everything to shake loose and separate the water from the material. This is our vibrating deck here. It's a 200 mesh screen. And so what happens is that the material flows off the sluice over here, lands on this deck here. This is called the pond on this side. This is where a lot of the separation occurs. And then it flows all the way down to the other end, which we call the beach. And then finally after the beach, it then comes all the way off over here and then out onto the tailings. And we'll see how all this operates here in a little bit. Now underneath below is a bucket that has sand in it. So there's one of the sand filters that I've talked about in previous videos. So if you're interested in the sand filters, go back to some of my previous videos where I talk about all this. And then we have our pressurized sand filter tank that I talked about in one of my previous videos, wash plant Q&A and chunky gold strike video, which is just not too long ago. And it's a pressurized sand filter. It's got 16th inch sand. And then that pipes all the way up to the spray bar of the shaker deck. All right, and then we'll just kind of walk around here to the other side. This is the secondary pond. Okay, and that is a bucket right there that's got the 1/8 inch sand, so it's part of the sand filtration system. Again, I talked about that. We got our submersible sump pump, submersible trash pump actually, that puts out 2,000 gallons per hour, and then that's running into the pressurized sand filters. And then we also have just a tertiary tub just to kind of catch a little extra water, a little overflow, stuff like that we can actually recycle. All right, so let's go ahead and get this baby fired up and get this thing running some material. Well, we did a lot of digging and we got quite a pile of dirt here to run through the wash plant. So it looks like we got about a couple of yards. We'll run at least half of it for today and see if we get any gold. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we'll go ahead and get this thing fired up. turn on the switch, and choke it out. There we go. Okay, we'll go ahead and get the dewatering deck turned on first. So I'll turn on the 2 switches that work the vibrator motor. Then we'll go ahead and turn on the upper deck. And then finally we'll turn on the water. As you can see, everything is spraying really well on the upper deck. A little bit of wind blowing, so we might get a little splashback today. All right, and we got everything flowing down here in the sluice. See all that coming down? That's where the gold collects. The gold collects right here in the sluice. And then we got the dewatering deck. We're down here at the pond. You can see the water separating for what little material there is. We haven't really ran anything yet, but you can kind of see the material kind of marching down the screen deck already. And now we got our passive filtration system pumping, working really well. There's the motor pump, and there's our pressurized filtration cans. All right, so let's run some material. Okay, ready to feed some material into this thing. Now this is really gooey stuff, but you can see the action in here. The vibrations causing the rocks to shake, and everything is getting stripped off really well. So I've got a 1/8" holes up here and 1/4" down below on this screen deck to help mitigate the different materials to classify and flow onto the sluice, so we're not overloading the sluice. You see these rocks are getting nice and clean? Look at that, nice and clean. Woo! There we go. See all the muddy stuff coming off the sluice, flowing down the sluice. You can see the material here. Here's the pond. This is where the separation occurs. See everything separating and then slowly moving down. Look at all that gooey clay. That's a lot of gooey clay coming off of there. And it's just kind of falling right off the edge, just as planned. Now you can see the passive filtration system. That's the 1/8" sand in the secondary tub. There's the submersible trash pump. And then you can kind of see right down here, this little water flowing. This is my bypass right here. So I can control the flow going up to the spray bars. So I can get the right amount of flow. And then I can just open and close it accordingly. And then this bag here is full of sand. And that has 1/8" sand down here. And that's keeps any kind of mud that comes out of this tub from flowing down and getting caught into the pump and going up to the spray bar. Okay, we're just going to show you some action here of what it looks like flowing down in here. See how it's washing the rocks, getting all nice and clean. As it's flowing down, everything's getting sprayed, just like a car wash. And look at this rock. Look at this, just whistle clean down here. Look at that going off. Woo! Looking real good, folks. That's what you want. Okay, folks, I think we'll go ahead and shut her down. You can see the sprayers are looking kind of brown, but really they're not that bad. You know, I mean, look at it, it's still very lubricious. It's not milky whatsoever. It's looking really good. And then we come over here to the sluice. You can see the flow on the sluice doing the same thing. It's pretty smooth. It's not very gunky whatsoever, even though it is brown. Check out these tailings. That's quite a bit. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to rake all this stuff down, because you never know if there's actually a piece of gold hiding down in this material. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of rake it out, so that way if there is, we'll be able to find it with a metal detector. Now my screens are 1/4" is the largest size, so anything larger than 1/4" would obviously fall out into the tailing piles from the upper shaker deck. So therefore, if I have a metal detector, which I do with Gold Bug 2, if there's a nugget that's larger than a 1/4", it's going to scream. Okay, folks, we'll go ahead and pull the sluice out of the wash plant, kind of laid it here in this little concrete mixing tub and tipped it up, ran some clear water over it so we can kind of get down and see if we have any nuggets or not or anything. And so as you can see right here, I'm See a couple of them already, so I'm going to bring this over so you can kind of see them too. I see this one piece right here, and that's looking pretty darn good. That's probably a picker. All right. And then also in the same stack here, I'm seeing another little piece right there. All right. And then another little piece right there. So, yeah, so we got some gold here, all right. At least we didn't get skunked. Now the question is, how much do we have? Folks, we're just kind of panning out the concentrates here. Now, I already panned out most of the blonde material just to kind of save you some time. Now we're just getting right down into the black sand and all. And we'll see what we get. So go ahead and tip it back and forth so you can kind of see it. And there's a lot of nice chunky pieces of magnetite in here. Look at that. Wow. Nice big pieces here. Hopefully we got some big pieces of gold too. And sure enough, look at that. We're already got some gold starting to show up here in the corner. And bring that up to you so you can see it. Right there in the corner. Yep. So that's already starting to show up. That's looking pretty nice. Oh, there's another piece starting to pop in right over here. You see that? Nice little chunky piece. Good. All right, we're getting pretty good here. Now let's see if we can move that back up into the pile. Yeah, let's see if we can pan that down a little bit more. Well, how about that, folks? I think we got ourselves a nugget. And holy smoke, look at this. Let me get these bubbles out of the way. You can see all kinds of bits of gold right up here starting to show. We got bits of gold right here. Look at that. And you got that nice little chunky piece. We got more right down here. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Awesome. Woo! Okay. Yep. Looking real good. Okay. Yes, sirree. All right. Now, let's take... This is definitely a nugget. Pick that up. More than a picker. Yep, that is a nugget. I'll just bring that up to the camera there a little closer so you can see it. There we go. All right. And then I think we got ourselves a picker down here too. There it is. Nice little picker there. Okay. And what else do we got? Okay, we got a whole bunch of other little chunky pieces of gold floating through the pan here. Look at that. Just rolling right along. Now what's interesting is I'm not seeing any fine gold, hardly at all. It's just chunky pieces, which, you know, this is really interesting geology because where I was digging before, I mean, we were getting nothing but fine stuff, and it would be like kind of a bonus if we ended up with some chunky pieces, you know? And I just ended up with just a whole pan full, the bottom of the pan would just be filled with fine stuff. And you can kind of see some of the fines up here in the corner, you know, kind of starting to show up. And that's what I'm kind of working on there. Yeah, there's some fine stuff. But, I mean, we're not seeing any super fine. There's maybe just a few little dots right through here. But that's about it. So, yeah, we did pretty good. You know, I'll take the chunky pieces over the real super fine stuff any day. Yeah, look at that. Okay. So you can see that. Yeah, pretty good. All right, so yeah, we did pretty good. I like that nice little picker there and the nice little nugget. How about that? Pretty darn good. Well, it's getting kind of late in the afternoon. Time to pack up this wash plant and get on out of here. I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell so that way you can get future updates whenever I post another wash plant video. And I know, again, there's going to be plenty, especially now that we're on this new ground with this chunky gold. So, in the meantime, I wish you the very best in your prospecting adventures. Get out there and find some gold, and we'll see you next time, and thank you for watching.